Marco watches his mom walk away, swaggering like the work fucking shit. Marco watches his mom walk away, quote, swaggering like the Yeerk that she was. Yes, he really says that. He steps into a side room and finds Axe and Tobias. They've managed to access the central computer for the underwater base, but haven't found anything useful yet. They can hear the others struggling in their fight nearby, but Marco says there's nothing that they can do for them by joining. He tells them that Visser 3 is just arriving, and he doesn't think that he's here to save Visser 1. The two Vissers are rivals, Marco says. Maybe that can work to their advantage. After all, Visser 1 let them go once before just to make Visser 3 look bad. While Axe frantically searches the computer for some way to disable the objects inside of their heads, Marco becomes reflective. He is surprised by how calm he is managing to be while his friends are outside, fighting for their lives. Sometimes you have to be as ruthless as your enemy to survive, he thinks. Axe announces that the only way to destroy the objects in their heads is to destroy the base itself. Marco suggests that they figure out how they're keeping all of the water from flooding the base and disable that. Axe says that yes, he can disable the force fields that are holding the water back, but they'll only have 5 minutes to escape. We'd all better have gills before then, Tobias says. Chris has been changing the fonts to various difficult-to-read
and was unfazed by that.
While I read this.
Yeah.
It was very rude. I think you were just trying to prove you were dyslexic.
Okay.
They are hard to read, though. You picked hard to read fonts.
I'm trying to show you what it's like when I
You're generating
I'm
empathy.
to give you the Chris Baldy's experience. Yeah.
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks.
These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Does having a Yeerk in your head possibly make you hotter?
I think it could.
Definitely.
Gives you that like aura of a bad boy.
Yeah.
It's like how you're never hotter than when you're in a relationship because you have that confidence.
Yeah.
And I know that like at the end of the night, I get to go home to my little Yeerk boy and that my little Yeerk boy and I are going to cuddle up and watch
in your brain.
Like deep dives on the follies of the Reform Party for 4 hours until I fall asleep.
Things about Hannah Brown's season of The Bachelorette.
Exactly. Like John Boy's videos. And who wrote that one?
I don't know. Oh, that was what is her name? I will find it.
You can find it by the end of the ep. But
yeah.
I can't wait to watch that.
There's not that much that I have down for this episode other than Marco gets the line as he comes out like at one point. And he does run into Tobias and Axe. Axe puts his like tail blade to his throat, and Marco says, "Please don't remove my head. I use it sometimes, and I want that to go into my regular rotation. I need to be saying
it's really
that
good.
More.
It's really good. It's interesting to me that like the Andalites have this thing of being shorm where you press the blade to each other's neck, and it's like, man, they're very fucked. Like, they're so intense. They're like, that's a sign of affection, and I'll also fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Like,
Ashley Norton is the person who made the Bachelorette video that I watched.
Sick.
She's really funny. Everybody should watch it. Anyway, moving on.
Why didn't Tobias and Axe don't seem to know that Marco just encountered his mom, and yet they didn't burst into that room to help him?
No, they didn't, and they weren't there. He said if anybody comes out of the room, just fucking kill him. But they were gone, and I don't think we ever get an explanation of why they left unless they were found or something and got chased out.
Yeah, really good point. Really good point. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like they just weren't there. They were trying to figure out where they were like, we didn't know if we should rescue you or join the other forces. And I'm like, so you did neither and you went somewhere in the middle? Like, what did you do?
I also think there could have been some good Tobias-Marco friction if Tobias did get the first glimpse into, outside of Jake, into Marco's situation with his mom.
Yeah. And Axe was working on the computer. That's what Axe was doing. He was working on trying to find a way to, and like, he also thinks he can liquidate the chip, which I think is really weird that there's like this button, because he's like, it's supposed to leave no evidence or something, because that's why it's going to destroy the whole base, is because the idea is that it's not going to leave any evidence.
I think more than other versions of this book is actually going, like, this book has the texture of a main arc episode, and yet it also has the staying power of a bubble episode.
Yeah.
Like, it cleans up after itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know some of this stuff is going to come back, but it goes to great lengths to say, it does a lot of like, you know, like, we're not morphing flies. We're not doing this. We're doing this because we're talking about Marco and his mom. And then it's also like, and we did this thing that's really fucked up and scary so they couldn't morph flies, but we're going to need that to go away.
Yeah, we can't have that forever.
Yeah. I'm really interested if the Lyrans come back. That's my big.
I feel like they must.
I really like the Lyrans.
Yeah.
I really like the
Marco
Lyrans.
says, and I said this in my notes when I originally wrote it, that I may be disproven as the book goes on, and I sort of am, but at the same time, I feel like this is still true. At the end of the chapter, when Tobias is like, we better grow gills before then, Marco says, yeah, and those who can't grow gills, I guess they'll wish they could, which I took as a way of him saying that he knew that there was a chance his mom would die in this plan. It wasn't necessarily him agreeing to not try to save her if the opportunity presented itself, but it was him not hesitating to commit to a plan that might kill his mom.
I agree. And I think maybe in some sense he's kind of trying out that position. Like maybe he's seeing how it feels for him. And also, I don't think he's sure, even at the end of this book, which one would be better ultimately.
Yeah, because he's certainly, I mean, well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
I won't say. Shall we, is there anything else we want to hit here?
Is chapter...
I don't think so. Oh, I think like this is the chapter where we talk about how the force fields are holding the water out.
Yes,
which
and
is
Axe is like,
important...
I can deal with your
Right.
force fields in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and we kind of already had an impression by that because Eric has a force field / hologram. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're kind of primed for that
you
idea.
mentioned it. You called it Chekhov's hologram.
Thank you. You know what's incredible? I forgot that.
That was like 4 weeks ago, so it makes sense.
It was a long time ago. I was going to say another detail that I really like about this is there's a scene where they're in the office and they're working with the computer. Like, did we hit the plot point of the computer hard enough real quick? Like, just that they're going to set the self-destruct?
We said that that there was a way to destroy it, but it was going to destroy the whole base.
Okay,
but we didn't talk
good,
too
good.
much about it. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. There's like a couple like fun moments where Axe is like, I can hack any computer unless they designed it for me not to be able to hack it. And I'm like, that is so wonderfully complete a sentiment. And the other thing I really enjoyed was there's a moment where like Marco's looking around the room and remarking at how normal it looks.
Yeah.
How much like a regular office it looks. And I like this concept of like, because as an adult, like I feel that way. It's like you walk into these spaces, you walk into spaces that are known to be part of, like in some cases, civic duty, like a courtroom or something, like things you've heard about your entire life. And it's like, well, here's a place where like violence happens, but it doesn't look like violence.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. And I think that like Office Space being like the idea of Dilbert being known to be evil by a kid's book in the 90s is really...
They knew.
K.A. called it.
She did.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to hit that I'm not sure we mentioned, but we might have, I might just be forgetting. They do confirm that the shark controllers are for use on Lyra.
Yes.
On the Lyran homeworld.
Great catch. That's because that releases them of a certain kind of responsibility. Like they got the information, so they now can go help their friends.
Yes. Yes.
It says it's a watery world, so they can't rely on Hork-Bajir. And this is what I was talking about, the difference in the two plans being create Hork-Bajir for the sea and strap jets to their ankles.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready. Unless there's more.
I think it's chapter 24. Is that you, Eddie?
I think it's Eddie.
All right.
Yeah, you ready, Eddie?
Yeah.
All right.
Mark.
Talking into your Yeti. Ready, Eddie?
Chapter 24. Marco, Tobias, and Axe join the fight. Marco becomes a gorilla, while Tobias and Axe fight as themselves. They find Jake as a tiger, Rachel as a grizzly, and Cassie as a wolf. The brawl carries on while Marco works his way closer and closer to Visser 1 until it's just the two of them. Marco wants to talk to her, to tell her everything about his life that she's missed. But of course, Visser 1 believes he's an Andalite bandit. A strange voice speaks from somewhere. It says, "Do not be fooled, Visser 1. This is no Andalite." Marco spins until he finds the source of the voice. "A Lyran!" "You idiot," Visser 1 says.
He makes 4 whole rotations.
"This is a gorilla." She says it's similar to a human, but distinct. This is an Andalite in morph. Marco knocks out the Lyran before it can blow his cover. And just as he does, Visser 3 emerges from the docking port as that snake-like...
More docking?
Yeah. As that snake-like creature. Visser 3 and Visser 1 immediately begin arguing. He says that she's made quite the mess for herself down here. She accuses him of failing to catch the Andalite bandits. An alarm goes off saying that only 3 minutes remain until the base is flooded. Marco runs away.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
Unbelievable. There's so many jokes in here that feel like they're for us.
Yeah.
Like I just like down to like the countdown, always thanking you and have a nice day. Like it's like 3 minutes before total force field failure. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
I was like, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Yelp. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, we never check Yelp for our reviews, you guys.
No
Wow.
one's going to the Anidorks Cafe. They're all going
No
to the
one's
Amazon
going to
Cafe at the Mega Mall.
No one's going to the Adopt an Animorphs Anidorks Cafe. Anacool Kid.
Please
Whoa, that's
adopt
weird.
an Anidork.
Anyway.
We're very poor. No.
I do love that Visser 1, we've kind of referenced this already, but while she's walking through this fight scene, she's just kicking the wounded Hork-Bajir on the ground.
Dude, and she gets them to get up. That's good.
And she's a
leadership.
human. This blew my mind though, because I'm like, they picked the least threatening species and she's just walking around kicking. I like to imagine her. I don't know why. I don't know that we got a description of her outfit, but I imagine her in like a long, sort of shapeless white dress, goes to the floor, long sleeve, like crew neck.
Oh, I'm imagining
and then,
Murphy Brown.
And then, that's fair. But then I just imagine her in like these simple, like black flats, like these little Mary Janes, and she's just like kicking the shit out of these guys. Like,
That's
get up,
so funny.
get up. She
I
looks like a cultist in my mind.
I'm imagining like Angelica's mom.
Yes, no, that's what I also
I'm
imagine.
imagining like shoulder
Okay, yeah, because
pads.
she's a high-powered businesswoman. I
Charlotte,
get
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Second wave.
I see her as
yeah.
like a cultist. There's like a cult leader. That's like my mind. But
Jared Leto.
oh yes.
Jared, let's move.
That's what I'm always saying. I really love that Yeerk's stupidity saved them from the big reveal again. There's a Lyran literally, he's going, I hate to disagree with you, this one, but actually...
I don't want to hear the end of any sentences. That's a Simpsons reference.
And like, luckily in that moment, he fell out of the trance that whatever this Lyran, because apparently the Lyran's not just psychic, he can put you in trances and he does
That's why
evil
he was
dances.
Twirling.
Yeah.
That's why he was twirling. Where's that voice?
He does say I spun around. He doesn't say I spun around 4 times, but
But that's how you sounded when you say. You should have heard how you sounded.
I was spinning several times over and over. You know why I hate the Xbox? Or you know how much I hate the Xbox 360? When I see it, I spin around 360 degrees and walk away.
And walk straight into my television.
I don't know if you ever heard that, but people made that joke a lot with the
That
Xbox
joke
360.
is so good. That joke is so good. the thing, though. Are you getting this? Is the joke that they walk into the
well,
Xbox
the joke is that
360?
they failed middle school geometry.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
They were not in challenge math, if you know what I'm saying.
I just want to hit that one passage, though, that is heartbreaking about Marco seeing his mom, because he says, but there was a second reason I couldn't talk to Visser 1. See, I knew if I started talking to my mom, I would never be able to stop myself. I'd spill it all out. I'd tell her everything because it's been so long since I've been able to talk to her. I've thought about it many times, many times, all the things I'd like to tell her about my life, my friends, what I did in school, how I made some teacher laugh. And this is a very funny
Devastating
book, and I'm just hoping we're hitting this enough that it is also so heartbreaking, like the Marco.
Extremely heartbreaking.
Not to mention that, like, they pay it off. Like, it's like she, like, K.A. or whoever wrote that, just
the
like
specific
like
thing,
K.A. or Michael or who, if they worked together, if it was one of them, I don't know. But like, they showed up for that paragraph. Like,
they
that
did,
paragraph
and
is
not just that
horrifying.
paragraph, but the fact that we heard Visser 1 say that her host was screaming inside, that she is still in there. Like, Marco gets full confirmation that she is still in there.
She's alive.
And fighting for him.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should clarify that when I say they showed up for that paragraph, like,
They show up throughout
made
the
that
book,
paragraph
hearing-
exactly. They made that paragraph happen, and it took a whole ass book to make that paragraph happen.
It did.
Yeah.
They laid the groundwork for
quite a series,
for the whole series for this moment,
like,
and it doesn't disappoint. It's exactly as heartrending as you expect it to be, and somehow more.
Yeah.
It's like you think, I'm a grown up, I'm reading this kid's book, I'm going to be able to handle what they throw at me, and you're like, I'm on the floor, like I need to lie down, I need floor time now, like I can't do this.
Yeah.
And Eddie, the quote that I thought you were going to go to, like, because that's like, that was a big moment. I can't believe it didn't come to mind, but I just wanted to make sure we hit this. Ha tu ma el ga su fa tu il.
Yes.
Which is what the Lyran
That's what the Lyran says. We need to have, that needs to be like a chant in the background of a song at some point.
Ha tu ma el ga su fa tu il.
Oh, don't you know Lyran solfege?
Ha tu ma el ga su
Why am I
fa
imagining Jabba the Hutt?
You're imagining Jabba the Hutt? No, he's much more frog-like. Yeah. He got little froggy leggies.
But anyway, no, this book, it really delivers on the emotions, and I'm sorry that I'm pulling my best Marco impression and making a stupid joke right now.
Yeah, throughout the entire chapter, we do keep getting the countdown reminding us, and it does say "Have a nice day" every single time. Thank you, and have a nice day every single time. Also, it seems to be counting down in like 10-second intervals, because we only hear about it every so often, but I think 2 of the times we hear about it, it's only 10 seconds apart.
And I think they say that in the book. I don't know. This chapter, even if you haven't read any single thing, like if you're literally just listening to us talk and you like hanging with us, I recommend cracking just this chapter. This is chapter 24?
24.
Is that right?
Of book 15.
Yeah. Go read chapter 24 of book 15 and you'll probably want to read a lot more.
Yeah.
But like, I think you can come in cold and just appreciate that this chapter like really delivers on a lot of the conversational timing. It has this whole attitude. Frankly, the past 2 chapters as well. Maybe read the whole book.
I'd read the whole book, but but I already read it twice. So who am I to say?
Yeah, I've read it 3 times. Shall we move on to chapter 25? All right. Is it my turn again? I believe
it is. So Marco is running away.
All right. I'll do my best Comic Sans impression. Less than 3 minutes remain till the base explodes. Have a nice day. A lot happens all at once. Visser 1 runs to her office, hoping to stop the countdown. Visser 3, in a giant snake morph, catches Rachel in his jaws and nearly devours him. It's Axe, bud. You made a boo-boo.
You made a couple of boo-boos.
You
made a boo-boo and then you misgendered somebody.
Or you were seeing the Tomcat in Rachel.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. All right. So Visser 3 and Giant Snake Morph catches Axe in his jaws and nearly devours him, but Rachel interrupts rudely. She thought speaks directly to V3, threatening to tear him in half if he doesn't release Axe. It's crazy. But then Marco steps in and punches Visser 3 directly in the nose, knocking him out, saving Axe. Visser 1 has managed to halt the countdown. However, Rachel is pissed at Marco. She says he should have killed Visser 1 while he had the chance. Now she'll have to finish the job. Marco, Jake says. Or he probably says it more like, Marco, you know what they're going to do. Marco knows. Jake says, they're going to kill your mom. Marco says, that's what that nod I did.
I understood. You didn't have to verbalize. Yeah.
It's your call, Jake says. He tells Marco to go do what's right. Forget what anybody else thinks. Do what's right, my little macaroon.
It's actually a very touching moment, but...
It is.
It is. I thought I hit it well. I called him my little macaroon. Jake's a hero, Marco tells us. Heroes always know what's right, but Marco, he's a comedian. All he knows is what's funny and what isn't. That's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
I would like to hear that whole thing read aloud. I want to say a thing real quick. I want to jump in. Frickin' when the standoff with Rachel and V3 is happening, he hops in and is like, I know how to negotiate my way out of that. It's a standoff, Andalite, Visser 3 said. You gave me you have me and I have your fellow terrorist here. But the water will be pouring in soon. And you'll drown in that body. And I just want to say, like, is his one thought here that he can be scary enough to, like, confuse her? Because it's not logically sound.
I think, it is logically sound because his body will survive being flooded by the water. So, like, his body will survive in the ocean. So, like, if they stand there until the containment breach happens.
But Rachel's a kill shot.
Rachel does, but so does he on Axe. So they'll just both die.
All right, you convinced me.
But I guess you're not wrong. I guess you're not wrong that if she kills him now and then morphs, she could get away. But I think he's trying to say, like, if you kill me,
he said a whole ass sentence,
he's
and she could have just ripped him.
That's
in
true.
half.
But I think he's trying to say, like, if you kill me, my mouth will fall closed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
No. That's helpful.
Kind
that's
of
helpful. Thank you for.
But can I just say, I didn't notice it until just now, just with this read of the summary. How do you fight a shark?
Punch its nose?
You punch it in the nose.
You doink him in the nose.
And that's how
then you
Marco
pee on
beats
him.
Visser 3 in this book to save his friends, is by punching him in the nose. And he's had this whole internal battle with the shark and being afraid of the shark and becoming the shark. And then how does he beat Visser 3 in this book? By doing what you're supposed to do to fight a shark.
Wait.
Very good.
Okay.
And then peeing on him.
But
That's jellyfish.
Can
and
we
don't
talk-
do that, listeners.
shit,
Don't do
sorry.
that.
Rachel gets mad at Marco for not
killing Visser 1.
Visser 1 when he has a chance. Marco just knocked Visser 3 out. They could just tear him in half. She
That's
could
true.
tear him in half.
She didn't kill
could
Visser
have
3
killed
when they had a
Visser
chance.
3, yeah.
Although it does say
She
that he
literally
sort of
gets distracted.
It says that he sort of immediately recedes into the water. I leaned back from my mic as I said that because I was like wiggling away.
That is what they say. They say, like, somehow he punches him so hard that by the time they realized how hard he punched him, he's in the water and gone.
Yeah. But also, I don't know, I guess, because Marco, Axe said he'd go kill Visser 1, and Marco's like, no, I mean, let me do it. And so I guess they told Rachel that when they got here, but I also don't know how Rachel knows that Marco supposedly had a chance to kill Visser 1 and hasn't. Like, why does she assume that's the case?
Oh, you're right. Because in that moment, I was thinking of when he was alone in the office with her, but she doesn't know about that.
Or does she just mean that she ran up on them like this, and Marco was standing there next to Visser 1 and Visser 3?
He did run away.
Visser 1 and Visser 3. He ran away and he watched them do a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's true,
for,
but Visser 3 was
minutes.
Metal Seadramon. So, if he tried to kill Visser 1 and Metal Seadramon didn't want that to happen, Metal Seadramon could have just ended it there.
But they were just standing there
Rachel's-
talking at the same time
That's
before Metal Seadramon arrived.
Yeah.
You sounded so natural.
Metal Seadramon?
Metal Seadramon just rolled
I've never
off
said
your tongue.
Metal Seadramon before. in my life. I didn't even know he existed.
Wow.
I thought it was regular Seadramon that was gold, and I was very disappointed. He has like this shell on his face that's gold, but like metal Seadramon fit more what I was thinking. But I don't think he's made of metal. I just think he looks
I'm
like
guessing
metal
they're not
Seadramon.
like Pokemon, and Metal Seadramon doesn't say Metal Seadramon.
It's more complicated. Now
No, he doesn't usually say that.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't
I think he may
usually
have
say
said,
that.
I'm metal Seadramon.
Miranda, can we get a read on the end of that chapter? Like, can you just do like that whole thing about how Jake is a hero to the end?
Yeah, so Jake says, do what's right. Forget about what anybody thinks. Do what's right. That's my friend Jake. That's his answer to anything, I guess. Do what's right. And somehow, he always seems to know just what that is. Or at least he thinks he does. Jake's a natural hero. Heroes always know what's right. Me? I'm a comedian. All I know is what's funny. And what isn't. There you go. That's your read.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
I also want to talk about what does Marco mean by that? Because I love the line, but I did sit there and go, what does he mean? He knows what's funny.
I kind of think it's that he's like actively in the middle of playing both sides right now. Like I think he's like flirting with his indecision.
I agree with that,
in a
but
place to make a power play.
I also think there's a moment where he's going, I don't know how to say this without it sounding like utterly horrific, but he's going from the outside. Is it funny if I don't tell my friends so they kill my mom? And then he goes, no, that's not funny. I need to tell my friends that that's my mom.
Here's the problem with this theory. It's not funny to tell them that they're about to kill your mom.
No, but it's less not funny than them killing his mom because they don't know.
Okay. So hey guys. Whoa, I'm sorry. Hey guys, isn't this just like so funny?
Well, no, isn't
like,
it
what
kind
are you
of
talking about, Marco? No, go
ahead.
Is it just like so funny? You guys are about to kill my mom right now.
No,
and then they're like, wait, no, we're killing Visser 1. And it's like, oh, lol. No, dude.
No.
You're about to.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from, but this is what I'm seeing in my head, right? Like, guys, you're never going to believe this. All right, just guys, check this out. Okay. So you know how our whole point in coming down here was stopping this mission and killing whoever was in charge of it? Guys, it's my mom.
Isn't that just so funny?
Isn't it kind of cosmically, ironically funny that I came down with you to help on this mission and I'm going to stop you from doing the thing all because it's my mom who you all thought was dead?
It's not like Garfield. It's not like Garfield pushing Odie off the counter funny or like Garfield I Hate Mondays funny.
But it's kind of like Garfield mailing Nermal to Timbuktu and then Nermal coming back anyway funny, right? Like it's that kind of funny.
Yeah, like that's pretty fucking funny.
And Nermal's still liking him when he gets back.
Like you thought this situation was resolved when we killed Nermal.
And instead Nermal came back and continued to give me scary gay thoughts. What? I'm sorry. No, that was the point of that comic. Nermal was a boy. What are you talking? No, it's gay thoughts. That's what's going on in that. Why are you fighting me on this, guys?
If Jake always knows what's right, why did Jake kind of hope for this moment though? Like he seems.
I think so.
Yeah?
I think he hoped that a moment would come up in this mission where Marco would have to, in good conscience, tell everybody the truth. Because Jake was not going to rat on him, but he believed it was the right thing for Marco to tell them.
I also think Jake would have done it if he needed to.
I
think there's a book later in the series where Jake does do something like that.
I think he would kill Tom.
Agreed 100%.
Chapter 26. Visser 1 faces off with Axe and Rachel, armed with a Draken beam. She is beside the computer that she's just used to override the countdown. Visser 1 fires at Rachel, but Rachel's still a grizzly. It doesn't do much. Then Visser 1 turns the gun on Axe. Before she can shoot, though, Axe slices, but doesn't cut her hand off, causing her to drop the gun. Rachel tackles her, and Visser 1 goes flying. Before Visser 1 can stand, Rachel is on top of her. In a second, she could kill the Visser. Marco screams for Rachel to stop. Rachel tells him to shut up. She's a Yeerk Visser, Ax says. No, Marco says. She's my mother. Your mom's dead, Rachel says.
Isn't that so funny? Isn't that just so
laugh
funny?
riot? Like, Marco quickly explains the situation. He says that maybe she could be his mom again, but only if she lives. LOL. Rachel is not.
Oh my god, dude.
Rachel is not happy about this, but she tosses Visser 1 aside. Ax does not back down, however. Marco suggests that it could look bad for Visser 1 if she's left alive. Visser 3 is inexplicably there outside the window watching the scene. How might he interpret things if they let Visser 1 survive? He would believe Visser 3 a traitor. Ax is
Visser 1.
He would
Visser
believe
1
Visser 1 a traitor.
What was the thing you got wrong?
And the light.
And the light.
Ax is convinced by this. He goes to the computer to continue to count down, but Visser 1 has locked him out of the computer. She changed her password. It'll take 10 minutes to bypass.
10 minutes.
Out of the corner of his eye, Marco sees Visser 1 grab her Draken Beam and aim it at Rachel. He grabs a metal chair, but instead of throwing it directly at Visser 1, he shatters.
He missers the Visser?
He missers the Visser. The Visser. He shatters
Mr.
the
Visser?
window behind her instead. It cracks and water begins spraying in.
Just a light little sprinkle. It's not like a lot.
Not like a fire hose or
but then
anything.
it starts to come in more intensely pretty quickly. Right?
Thank you for your very astute and accurate read.
Oh, I thought you were seriously saying
going.
it's just a sprinkle. And there's like, no, it's gonna blow. Marco tries to save his mom, but Rachel tells him no, he has to save himself. As he's carried away by the intensifying current, Marco becomes human again. He sees Aliran moving towards his mother's body. To save her? To kill her? He's not sure. Before he drowns, Marco begins. Wait, I guess you should clarify. Before
he would have drowned.
Marco begins morphing into a shark. Can I tell you, I wrote these descriptions while riding the exercise bike, and I think it's a little distracting. So
Yeah, you had the adrenaline pumping a little too hard.
You were like, this makes perfect sense. This is like Hemingway.
Yeah. There is a
short sentence.
A very cute line here where when Rachel tosses her aside, as you said, it says, then, almost angrily, but really with very little force for a bear, she tossed my mother's body aside. And I'm like, it's good to keep things in perspective, right? You got to give a relative strength level for everything she does. She is a bear.
She is a bear. That's true. Yeah, I really like this chapter. It's the same kind of thing where like it's going to be a little messy. There's going to be like Rachel's going to get shot through the shoulder with a Draken Beam, and we're going to have to watch her experience pain. Then we're going to be like, don't kill my mom. And then like the shot through the chair to the window,
which he's still not sure if he did on purpose or if he meant to hit his mom and miss.
Oh, much like in Heavy Rain when you find out that you've just been killing people the entire time. Even though you've been playing
Scott Shelby
continuously, right? Yeah.
It's a big Scott Shelby move. He's just looking for a father who's strong enough to save his son. Does sound like something you could say about Marco.
Well, I wonder, is this actually going to be helpful for the Yeerks in the long run? That they now know how fragile their underwater base was? That a metal chair, like maybe now they'll design even better bases because Marco's pointed out the design flaw.
They'll have to figure out that was the Achilles heel.
Did that only fail because the force field had already been broken? Or no, because the force field was back up. Ax didn't... He just
but it's like, why is there water on the inside of the force field anyway?
That doesn't make any sense. It does though, because the sharks have to swim in it.
And the submarine, I guess. But still, like, oof. I don't love it.
You could have water on the bottom half of like a circular force field space and not on the top, like Sandy's dome.
No, you're right.
In SpongeBob SquarePants, where it's like it's on the floor, so like just put a dome and have them swim up at the like bottom of the dome and like.
Mm-hmm.
Have you two heard the story about the guy who was always? He would have kids, I think, or college students come tour the office that was on the skyscraper.
He would give birth to children.
He would give birth to children.
Just to have them come do this tour.
Give tours to children.
It's a long con.
And on like a high up floor of this office building, and he had this thing he would do where he would run and throw himself out the window to show how strong they were and to get the kids all worked up. Like, oh, is he gonna fall? But actually he would always bounce off. And then the one day he actually went right through the window and died in front of all these kids.
Do you think he pre-broke the window like they do tables in WWE?
Oh,
and he actually wanted to die that day?
I thought you were saying he actually weakened the window every time.
No, that's the logical conclusion.
Yeah.
I think this is why you don't test your safety measures except in a safe way.
Yeah.
Always, kids, let's get this down in one. Don't throw yourself at the window. Throw a metal chair at the window.
That's right.
Okay?
And if it breaks,
safety.
Call your insurance company and be like, you didn't give me strong enough windows. And they go, your policy doesn't cover throwing a chair at it every day for 2 years. And then you go, it should.
And then you say, the chair came from the outside.
It was a hurricane, actually. Yeah, I picked up the chair and it threw it at my window.
Mm-hmm. At the very end of this chapter, we've been talking a lot about leadership, and we've been talking a lot about how, I wouldn't read Visser 3's How to Run a Business novel, blah, blah, blah. I think we have a new book idea here for Marco's memoir.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. I think, because at the end of this, he says, did the Lyran go after her to save her, to destroy her, to capture her so that Visser 3 could enjoy watching her suffer? I don't know, because I was swept into the dock and sank down deep into the water, and I gasped desperately for air, my human lungs on fire, and I searched for the shark inside me. And I'm just imagining something along the lines of the shark inside you, 10 simple steps to change your life, save your mom, and save the world.
Yes. It's very 80s guy energy. And I mean specifically the 80s guy from Futurama.
Right. His only regret was that he had sharkitis.
Yes.
Right.
Teeth or bones?
Teeth or bones. That's right.
It's actually crazy, though, that we are now 15 books into the series and everyone learns in this book. Well, no, Tobias doesn't learn yet, but Rachel and Axe just learned that Marco's mom is Visser 1. I don't know if I should be surprised that we made it this long without them learning, or that they don't go further into this series. It's a major secret to get out of Marco.
But with how long the series is, I do think it feels like an early point. But they're going to introduce new fun secrets, I'm sure. I mean, I keep hearing about this David trilogy. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Who's David?
I don't know!
What are you talking about right now?
But I see posts about the David trilogy.
What are you talking about? I'm so confused. What do you mean I see posts about the David trilogy?
On our Animorphs.
On our Animorphs and shit.
The hell are you guys doing on our Animorphs? There's spoilers on there.
There's an Animorphs shitposting group that I follow on Facebook because I'm old.
Damn, dude, I'm not doing enough to engage with the kids.
No,
I need to consider.
You'll learn about the David trilogy when we get there.
What are you guys talking about?
I don't know what it is. I just know that a lot of people don't like it.
What do you mean you know it exists? Are you seeing other people? Are the two of you seeing other people? Who is this David?
You quit, Chris. This is when you quit the podcast.
Is David my replacement? Oh my God.
It's David Mattingly. He's been responding very positively to our emails.
Oh my God.
That's why you wanted to lock me out of the email, Eddie. That's why you wanted to take back the password.
Can we rewind? You locked me out of the email.
You were sending fucking flirty emails to everybody. You were like, hey.
To David Mattingly.
No. I don't know. You just were unprofessional. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
You're so official. I'm so rude.
What happened, for the record, is that an unfamiliar town name that looked like it could be foreign appeared in recent logins on the Anidorks Google account. And Chris...
It was
And Chris was like, "We've been hacked. I have this is the new password.
Russia.
This is the new by
Oh, that's when you
Russian
changed the
hackers
login.
targeted our extremely successful Animorphs podcast." And then Chris looked back and was like, "Wait, it was Eddie. Never mind."
I was having a tough day.
Aren't we
Chapter
all?
27.
Chapter 27. Marco and the others are sharks again. They swim away from the underwater base and encounter the guard sharks from before. They've been put on alert. Marco's ready for a fight this time, though. He wants pain. He wants to inflict pain. He tells us that... Stop it! He tells us, Chris just keeps making the text bigger and it moves where it is on the screen. He tells us that he's a boy who had to watch his mother die a second time. He attacks a shark, enraged. Jake tells him to stop. Marco doesn't hear him or doesn't listen. He keeps kicking as a shark, biting, tearing the shark apart. Jake finally has to slam into Marco to get him to stop. The facility is destroyed. The sharks are just sharks again. They're trying to flee. They see Visser 3 escaping. Tobias says that he hopes at least Visser 1 is down there, drowning. Everyone but he and Cassie know the truth about Marco's mom now. Marco is devastated. He is losing his mom again. They swim towards the shore. Marco imagines going home, having to say goodnight to a photo of his mom. Again! And then Rachel hears something. The sub they'd seen Visser 1 on before. Marco doesn't hear it, but he believes that Rachel really does. Would it be better to lose his mom for good, he wonders, or to keep fighting to save her? If she was truly gone, he could be a normal kid again, and he could grieve her and eventually move on. But if she survived, he'd still be a prisoner of hope. Jake says that he's only going to ask this once more. "Are you okay, Marco?" Marco responds, "Like I always say, you have to decide whether you think life is a tragedy or comedy. I long ago decided to look for the joke in life, and now I had to decide whether, in my own mind, she was dead or still alive. Suddenly I had this flash, this picture in my head. Me and her. Me and my mom. My real mom, free, no longer a controller. It would be far in the future, years from now maybe. Me and her and my dad would sit down together and talk about how it had been, about all the stuff that had happened, all the secrets and despair, all the fear, all the anger and hopelessness. We'd remember it all. And then, slowly but surely, we'd talk less about how horrible it had all been. We'd start talking about the strange stuff, the weird stuff, the stuff that we could laugh at now that it was all over. See, it was my mom who taught me that the world was funny. And if she was alive, we'd maybe still get that day in the future to sit down and laugh together." "I'm fine, Jake," I said. "And I'll be better when she's free again." Hot damn, dude.
So sad.
It goes so fucking hard.
Sad, yeah.
It does.
So sad.
Poor Marco.
There's a line that you have in there, but it's before your quoted section. He says, "If she was still alive, still trapped, then I was still trapped too. I still had to try and save her. I would still be a prisoner of hope." And that just fucking sucks, dude. That the fact that these books are admitting, talking enough about grief and what grief means to talk about the fact that hope that someone you thought was going to die might still live is sometimes less of a positive thing than knowing for sure they were going to die or had died.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Because it keeps the wound open for Marco.
Yeah.
He can't move on, and that's so dark. He's 12.
He's 12, dude. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Do we think that Marco's going to free his mom someday?
Someday, I hope. I hope so. God.
I would imagine that at the very least, a thing happens with it. Like, I can't imagine that we're not going to be back in this space again. Like, I just can't.
But not for a couple Marco books.
Yeah. At least one Marco book will pass. That's what we've learned. One Marco book can pass without him seeing his mom.
Mm-hmm. And I actually think I'm glad that the secret's out now, because I think the books can actually. Marco did not save his mom, and he did not lose his mom here. But there will have to be growth, I think, in Marco, that he's going to have to sit in the vulnerability that he doesn't want to sit in, of people knowing, like, what a shitty situation he's in.
He says that he knows that Jake will tell Cassie now that other people do know that, like, it will get to Cassie, and so it will get to Tobias, and, like, he will have to live with everyone knowing that his mom is Visser 1, and, like, he will have to face that. And he has decided that's his real growth in this book, is, I think, deciding that it's better to be open with them than to keep it hidden for fear of them pitying him. And yeah, it took actual violence to his mom being threatened for it to happen, but he has realized that, like, in order to stop worse things from happening, he has to be honest with his friends.
Yeah.
Like, that was his sort of growth arc through the book, and he got there, even though he had to be forced at the very end. I think he was ready to do it.
I also really like that we don't actually get it 100% confirmed that Marco's mom is alive.
Yes,
like,
just that the submarine left.
Or that Rachel said she heard the submarine. And Rachel could be saying that because she thinks the right thing is to keep Marco hoping. Like,
but he says that the way she responds to him saying thank you, she's like, thank you for fucking what? For being better than you at paying attention? Get your shit together. And he's like,
but she did also.
Hearing submarines?
He's like, if she was lying, she'd have just said you're welcome.
But it also feels like, I know it's probably almost certainly true that Visser 1 did escape, but it feels like Rachel could want to hear the submarine. She could genuinely believe that she heard it, but we don't see it go past, and Visser 1's shaking her fist out the window or something.
It does feel like Marco has to make the decision to believe his mom's still alive. He does not have enough evidence to confirm one way or the other, so he has to make a decision, and he decides to be that prisoner of hope, quote unquote, because he decides it's a better option than giving up, which I think is really noble. And also really sad.
Yeah. And also critically, it's like, without that ambiguity, you don't get this resolution where he has room for the fantasy of, like, what could happen. Like, it really just very nicely, like, tumbles into him, like, ruminating on finally getting to share all the things with his mom and his dad, and being able to laugh again with them. And like, I don't think
going from tragedy to the distance of
comedy
to the place of comedy.
What is comedy? Just tragedy, but harder. I think that's it. It's like,
I think that was the famous quote.
Yeah,
that's what I had on my Tumblr. You're right.
It's double 9/11. That's comedy.
Incidentally, like, the phrase I had on my Tumblr was comedy equals tragedy plus time, but a dick joke now and then doesn't hurt.
That's pretty damn good. A dick joke now and again doesn't hurt. That's true.
I don't think we have to talk about this moment, but I thought that, wow, Chris, you really messed with the font here as I'm scrolling up trying to find the thing I'm looking for. Just at the fight where that Marco gets into a pointless fight because he's so upset about his mom, and then Jake has to, like, actually, like, slam into Marco to get him to shake
I'm gonna
out
be
of it.
honest, I didn't remember that until today as I was reading up for us to finish. I was like, oh, he does this? Like, I didn't remember that.
I also tried to I added Jake finally has to Jake slam. But Miranda, was that you reading? You went right past it. And I was like, no!
I don't think so. I don't usually skip things you write.
No, I think maybe I added it as you were reading, and I think I did it just a second too late. But
yes, that is what happened. That is
Yes.
what also, Chris was making... So the reason I screamed again at the end of having to say goodnight to a photo of his mom again is because Chris has made that, let's see, size 157 font. So I thought they were asking me to put a little pizzazz on it.
That is what I was hoping for. I was hoping you'd give it the moment it deserves, which is roughly 157.
Fine, I'll keep it 157.
Definitely keep it. That's going to the Patreon. How dare you deprive?
I am a few notes behind. Speaking of which, I think I sent you book 12 notes, but you never sent them out.
Yeah, we're going to need to have a little sit down, you and I, and we're going to need to get everybody on the Patreon all caught up, which will happen. You're going to be getting so many notes.
We're actually snail mailing the notes this time.
That's
we're
right.
Print it out.
That's right. And we're using AI to tailor the notes exactly to your personality.
And
That's
you
right.
do have to tell us where you live.
Yes.
And your
you have
last
to tell
name.
us your last name. And you then
You have to fill out this personality survey so that we can give it to ChatGPT.
You have to make a public announcement in a local paper, reputable local paper.
Oh.
If I was a Yeerk, I would make a personality test, kind of like the
BuzzFeed?
OkCupid dating
Sure.
test, to find the best Yeerk match for each controller. Because
Oh my God, we should
so
make a little test like that.
cute.
Come up with questions. Send it to me. I'll
Yeah,
make a
you
test
match
like
best
that.
with
Yeah,
Innis226. He's a real go-getter. Like,
Yeah. You match best with Innis589. He likes long movies and peeing a lot.
should we really
you just
quickly...
described yourself.
Yeah, I did. I do like long movies and peeing a lot. Do you guys want to play? Do you want to talk about the new book or do you want to talk about it later?
I kind of feel like we should start with it next
time?
Let's do it quick. Let's do it quick.
Okay,
because
I've got it here.
No.
Oh, you got it?
You already read the slogan?
I won't guess then. I
Right,
don't remember what it is.
Miranda,
either.
maybe you can help me trick Eddie.
Okay,
Maybe
okay.
we can ensemble these.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the book is called The Warning. On the cover, we have Jake peeing behind a bunch of rhinoceroses. It really looks like that. I'm
It
sorry,
does look
Nate.
a
I'm
little
sorry,
bit like
Mr.
that. That's like how
Mattingly, but
I
it
think
really-
his hand's in his pocket, but
Yeah.
it looks a little like he's reaching for
It's a
his
little
fly.
William Penn on top of City Hall in Philadelphia.
So you do have it up, so you know the slogan? Is that what you saw? The
No, I
slogan
think he's
in?
just joking. I saw the slogan.
Oh, no.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
here we go.
joking.
Okay. I'll say the first one. Miranda, you say the second one, and then I'll say the third one. And there are balloons. Okay, you ready? Okay, so
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's morphing into a rhino. We said that? We
yeah,
said
that's
that.
critical. Okay, that's
The
critical. Okay,
warning.
now it'll take more than the truth to set you free.
Okay. Sometimes a leader really has to take charge.
Run at the enemy.
Okay. Do we remember what the three of them were to repeat them?
Yeah. So
Okay.
the third one, the one I just did was run at the enemy.
And
Then
I
then
said
Miranda's
sometimes
was-
a leader has to take charge.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And now it'll take more than the truth to set you free. I think that was it.
Okay, you're either doing a really good job of tricking me, or or you are doing a really bad job of coming up with one on the spot. I think it's sometimes a leader has to take charge because it's a rhino. Don't rhinos charge?
They do. They do.
But we
That's
did
not
trick
correct,
your
though.
ass.
We did
Yeah.
trick you.
It was
I always lose.
it was now it'll take more than the truth to set you free. No! Which I intentionally pretended
I
to
know
forget.
you did.
Yeah.
You did. It was so obvious, too. All the listeners are going to be like, that was so obvious, Eddie. I can't believe that little rascal didn't get it.
No. Oh, I
All
think
that-
I've been wrong every time.
All that and more on Anna Cool
Next
Kid
time
on Anidorks.
Anidorks.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!